Hello, I hope you're all doing well, and I thought I'd make this video to show how I make a narrative input chart using the GLAD program. I do this at home and I use all my own supplies, and I've made a lot of mistakes, so I thought it might be kind of fun to show you the process, kind of the behind the scenes. So I always have my GLAD binder with me. It always helps me to be able to figure out the steps. Even though I've done it a bunch, there's always areas that I could hone in on and do better. So I would highly recommend keeping your GLAD binder somewhere that you can reach it. And so I'll be talking today about a narrative input chart. And the text that I have selected is Born on the Water. It's from the 1619 project, and my best advice would be to make sure that whichever text you choose for a narrative input chart, that it's a really powerful text that you want to spend a lot of time on. You don't want to use this for a story that's, not as important, doesn't really have high vocabulary, words that you can target, because you're really going to be getting your students to know the story, to connect with it, and you want it to be a valuable use of your time. So I absolutely love the story of for this because it's got some really great vocabulary. If you go to the website for the 1619 project, they have full lessons that you can pull out. And what I used for the narrative input chart is they actually have vocabulary already selected from this, and that's pretty neat. Teachers were trying to save time anywhere we can, and having the vocabulary already selected is really helpful. So the first step, pick your text. Now that I've got my text, normally I would go through and I would choose vocabulary words. They already have them highlighted for me. So what I do is I go through, and now you could use a special pen, or if you wanted to use special paper, you could make this however you choose, but I just use white paper. I write the vocabulary terms that I want to have my students focus on just white paper, and then I laminate it. And I do this so that I can reuse it from year to year, so that students can have the words in different contexts. If they need to use dry erase marker on here, they can. In the years past, I've highlighted the terms in yellow, but I really felt like it made it a little harder to read. So I kind of like having the just white and black, and it really does stand out, as you'll see on the pictures. And so I have the vocabulary terms, a whole bunch of them printed up, and what I try to do is make sure that I have enough for each student to have at least one. Some stories, you may not make it, but it's kind of neat. Everyone loves having their own word that they get to participate with the story. So once you've got your vocabulary words, I just laminate them and cut them out like that. The next step that you're going to do is you are going to decide on the images that you are planning on using. And so for this story, they have these incredible paintings throughout, and I have a really nice printer at home, and so when possible, I will just photocopy the images. But for some of these, this beautiful artwork just was not coming out when I was making copies of it. And so when that happens, I will just select different images online, and I will make copies of that. And I know some people will buy multiple copies of the book and destroy it, and laminate that, but I just couldn't bring myself to destroy this book. It's so beautiful. So what I did is I will have on one side, I will print a picture. This is directly from the book. And then on the back side, I will either handwrite, or I will, like in this case, type the text of it. And there's a couple things I want to point out. I always number the back side. So this is page 15 in the book, and I know that it's 15, so that if you have it in a case, like I always have, I love these cases because I can get them at the Japanese dollar store, and I can just have all my GLAD stuff for one unit just in there, and they seal up really nicely. But sometimes, with students, you're working with these, and they'll get out of order, so I always have the number on the back. And then something that I'd like to do that I haven't done in the past is I'd like to actually use a highlighter on the text to make sure that I know that a student should be bringing up the vocabulary term on that page. Normally I just remember, but I was thinking that might be kind of a neat scaffold for me. That would help me out. So there you go. And usually I print out a thought bubble or a speech bubble for the text for the later on part of it, but I'm thinking this time I'm actually going to have the students just make them because we're doing this a little bit later in the year. We're going into the second trimester right now, and if this was a book, or if I was making a selection earlier in the year, like if you watch my video about A Boy Called Slow, you'll notice that I do have those words and thought bubbles in there, but for this one I'd like to have the kids make it, so I'm really excited to see what my students make. And it really pulls out that synthesizing skill. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and have a good day. Bye.